All right. So, you know, you sent those notes over from that financial planning seminar in Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw those.
I thought they were really interesting, like Vegas and financial planning. What an interesting combination.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it was geared toward like entrepreneurs and business owners.
Totally.
People with, high incomes.
Oh.
Really emphasizing the saving on taxes.
Right.
Planning your legacy.
Yeah, it seems like it was Tanner Frigaard and Oleg Zviagin.
Those are the two.
Who are the speakers.
Yeah.
And Tanner, he's local to Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So he had that energy, I imagine.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
But then Oleg, he's got that calm and analytical approach to wealth management.
Totally different style.
I bet they played off each other well.
I think so. Yeah, it's like they say opposites attract, right?
Exactly.
Right.
So I feel like that blend of perspectives probably made for a really dynamic presentation.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
One of the things I thought was interesting was this whole concept of a personalized pension. Social Security,
Yep.
pensions,
Yeah.
and personal savings, how that's kind of on shaky ground.
For sure. Pensions are becoming less and less common, and Social Security, who knows what's going to happen?
All right, Jack. So
It's really on us to build that.
yeah, and they really seem to hammer home this idea of protect what you built,
Yeah.
which I feel like everyone listening can relate to that.
Absolutely. It's about taking control of your own financial well-being.
Yeah, for sure.
Making sure that the money that you worked for is
Right.
working for you.
Exactly. Speaking of protecting what you've built,
Yeah.
they talked about this executive bonus plan,
Yes.
which,
Okay.
they were talking about a casino executive that was getting $60,000 a month,
Wow.
tax-free, through this plan.
Tax-free.
Tax-free.
Okay.
So I have to know, how does that even work?
Yeah. So essentially, it acts as you could almost call it a personalized pension. And it allows businesses to give these amazing tax-free benefits to, their key people.
Right.
So it's a win-win
Interesting.
for both sides.
But how? How is this legal?
Well, it's all above board, but it uses a special kind of life insurance policy.
Okay.
And the employer, they pay the premiums on behalf of the executive.
Right.
And those premiums are tax deductible.
Interesting for the business.
Okay.
So the business gets a tax break. Okay, what about the executive?
So the cash value of this policy, it grows, and it grows tax-free.
Okay.
And the executive can then use that money
Yeah.
in retirement as income.
Right.
And it's tax-free.
Oh, wow.
And they even mentioned this thing called infinite banking, where they could even access these funds earlier than a traditional retirement account.
Oh, wow. So it's like golden handcuffs.
Yeah.
Why would you ever leave?
Right. It's a great way to attract and keep talent.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about everyone else? What about people that aren't these high-level executives?
Sure. So they talked a lot about Roth IRAs,
Okay.
especially because of the new Secure Act.
Okay. I've heard of a Roth, but remind me.
Yeah.
What's so special about those?
Okay, so essentially you're contributing after-tax dollars.
Okay.
But when you take that money out in retirement,
Yeah.
it's completely tax-free.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You've already paid your taxes, so the government can't touch it again.
Right. Like you're prepaying the taxes, so you don't even have to worry about it.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay.
Especially helpful if you think you'll be in a higher tax bracket in retirement.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. What was this about the Secure Act changing things?
Yeah, that's a really big deal.
Okay.
It changed a lot about how IRAs are taxed when you inherit them.
Okay.
So before, you could stretch out those withdrawals from inherited IRAs over your lifetime, minimize how much taxes you were paying.
Right.
But now beneficiaries generally have like 10 years
Oh, wow.
to take all that money out, which can be a lot of taxes.
Yeah, especially if it's a big account.
Exactly.
So how does that tie in with the Roth?
So Roth IRAs, they bypass all of that because you already paid the taxes on those contributions. Anything that your beneficiaries withdraw is tax-free for them, too.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
It is.
That's a really good way to transfer wealth
It really is.
to the next generation.
Yeah, and make sure it's not eaten up by taxes.
Okay, wow. So Oleg really knows his taxes, huh?
Yeah, she does.
They also mentioned estate planning.
Yeah, he was really passionate about that.
Okay.
Said it's more than just having a will,
Okay.
especially if you have a lot of assets.
Right.
He really emphasized trusts.
Trusts seem so confusing.
Yeah, they can be, a little bit.
Can you break that down a bit? Why would someone need a trust?
Think of a trust like a legal entity. It holds and manages your assets for you,
Okay.
and it gives you more control than a will.
Okay.
He was mostly talking about revocable trusts, sometimes called living trusts.
Okay.
They can help you avoid probate court which can be a really lengthy and expensive process.
So it's about simplifying things for your heirs.
Exactly.
And potentially, like you said, avoiding all those taxes.
Exactly.
Did he mention any other types of trusts?
He did touch on gifting trusts,
Okay.
which can be a strategic way to give assets while you're still alive,
Right.
which could lower your taxable estate.
Yeah.
But he emphasized you really need a good estate planning attorney.
For sure. It can get really complicated,
Oh, yeah.
especially if you have a lot of assets,
Yeah.
like that real estate investor they used as a case study.
Yeah, that's a perfect example.
What were the key takeaways from that investor situation?
So this investor had a $15 million portfolio,
Okay.
mostly in commercial and residential real estate.
Got it.
And his big concerns were minimizing taxes,
Okay.
protecting his assets from lawsuits,
Makes sense.
and making sure his heirs got everything smoothly.
Of course. So what did they recommend for a guy like that?
Oleg really stressed analyzing the investor's portfolio
Okay.
and the idea of opportunity cost. So not just how much money you're making, but how much effort it takes.
Right.
What are the risks? Could you do better elsewhere?
That's a really interesting way to look at it.
It is.
Because usually you just look at the bottom line. But if you're working really hard for not a lot,
Right. Is it worth it?
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And they found that his commercial properties, they were doing great.
Okay.
Over 5% return
Okay.
after expenses, but some of his rentals were only making like 3%
Oh, wow.
after the mortgage and fees and all that.
So what do you do about that?
Oleg said get rid of some of those rentals.
Okay.
Put that money into something more passive, like bonds.
Okay.
Might get a better return with way less risk and less work.
It's a no-brainer.
It is.
What about protecting those assets from lawsuits? Because rentals are notorious for that.
Right. He said using LLCs is crucial.
Okay. How does that work?
It just shields your personal assets from any liabilities.
Right.
So if a tenant sues, they're suing the LLC,
Right.
not you personally.
Right. That's a really important distinction.
It is really smart.
Yeah,
And, easy to overlook, especially if you're just starting out.
for sure.
What about the estate planning? Did they recommend any specific trusts?
Right. Do they have anything in mind for this investor?
They did. They said, it all depends, right? On your situation and your goals.
Right.
They brought up charitable trusts
Okay.
since he's into philanthropy.
Now, that's great, matching his values.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they even brought up this really advanced thing called an intentionally defective grantor annuity trust.
An IDGT. What is that?
It's a mouthful, right?
It is.
It's basically a way to transfer assets out of your estate to avoid those taxes.
Wow. So it's amazing how creative this stuff gets.
It is.
So with all that in place, what was the potential outcome for this investor?
Well, they didn't give hard numbers, but they said he could save like 40–50%
Wow.
in estate taxes.
That's huge.
Right. And on a $15 million portfolio, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. But more than that, it's the peace of mind.
Right.
Knowing your assets are safe, your taxes are taken care of, and your legacy is set.
That's incredible. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah, it really highlights that financial planning.
Right.
It's about more than just investments.
Yeah, for sure.
It's taxes, estate planning, protecting your assets.
Right. It's like a whole roadmap.
It is.
This has been really eye-opening, I have to say.
Me too.
It's clearly not just picking stocks
No,
and hoping for the best.
not at all.
Did they talk about investment strategies at all?
A little bit, but they really emphasized aligning your investments with your goals
Right.
and your risk tolerance.
Okay, so no get-rich-quick schemes.
No, not really. But they did talk about diversification,
Okay,
not putting all your eggs in one basket.
right.
But they went beyond just stocks and bonds and real estate.
Oh, like what?
They highlighted municipal bonds
Oh,
as a good option for tax-efficient investing.
Municipal bonds. Those are those ones that are offered by local governments, right?
Exactly.
How do those work, tax-wise?
So you're essentially loaning money
Okay.
to the government, and the interest you earn
Yeah.
is often exempt from federal income tax,
Oh, wow.
sometimes even state and local taxes.
That's huge.
It is, especially with interest rates going up.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Municipal bonds are looking really attractive.
That's true.
They might not have the highest interest rates,
Right.
but those tax advantages can be huge.
It's about the after-tax return, not just
Exactly.
what the number looks like.
Precisely.
Oleg is big on taxes.
He is, but it all goes back to that personalized approach.
Right.
What works for one person might not work for another.
That's a really good point.
So you need a plan that actually fits your life.
For sure, because we hear about this one-size-fits-all approach.
Right. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work for something like this.
No, this is your financial future we're talking about.
All right, okay, so we covered a lot. Personalized pensions, Roth IRAs, asset protection, estate planning.
There's a lot, yeah.
This seminar was jam-packed,
It was.
and this was just a taste. It definitely makes me want to learn more.
Oh, me too, for sure.
It's so important to never stop learning.
I agree. It's a lifelong journey, right?
Exactly. It's a marathon,
It is.
especially when it comes to our finances.
Yeah, because things are always changing.
Exactly. The only constant is change.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll continue to unearth these golden nuggets.
Sounds good.
So we're back. I don't know about you, but my head is spinning with all these strategies. With all this talk of tax strategies and trusts and everything, what's standing out to you?
You know, it's a good reminder that financial planning isn't something you just do once and forget about it.
Right.
It's like you have to keep evaluating, keep adapting.
It's true. The only constant is change.
Right. And the seminar, they did a good job of highlighting those areas that they put off,
It's easy to do.
like estate planning,
Yeah.
asset protection, and then it's too late.
It's true. You get so caught up in just managing your day-to-day finances, it's hard to zoom out
Right. It's
and
so
look at the big picture.
You've got to protect what you built.
Yeah, for sure. And plan for that future.
Exactly.
Yeah, you want,
Yeah.
what do you want it to look like?
Exactly. It's your legacy.
It's not just about building wealth. It's making sure that wealth lasts.
Right. And it benefits the people you care about.
You mentioned charitable giving earlier, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's something that often gets overlooked,
It does.
but it's a powerful way to align your money with your values.
Right. It is. It's like, what kind of impact do you want to have on the world?
Exactly. It's not just about the return on investment, it's the return on impact.
Exactly.
So for someone listening who's like, okay, this is great, but where do I even begin? What would you tell them?
Start small. You don't have to do everything at once.
Right. Don't try to boil the ocean.
Exactly. Maybe talk to a financial advisor, see what they think about your plan, or even just research one thing
Right.
that really resonated with you.
Pick a starting point.
Like Roth IRAs or estate planning.
Just break it down into manageable steps.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to be a financial whiz.
Right. There are people who can help.
There are resources, there are experts,
Yeah.
and podcasts like this one.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Ask for help.
And be patient.
Yes, be patient.
This is a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Exactly. You've got to protect what you built.
Right.
Be proactive.
Be informed.
Make informed choices.
This has been, I think, a really valuable deep dive.
I think so too.
So much information packed into this seminar.
Right. From personalized pensions to Roth IRAs.
Asset protection, municipal bonds. Wow.
A lot to think about.
This is just the beginning for our listeners, though, right? This is
It is for sure.
a lifelong journey.
A financial journey.
Exactly. And we'll be here to guide you every step of the way.
Absolutely. It's amazing, right? All this stuff to think about. Feels like we just hit the jackpot of financial knowledge.
I know. Okay, so before we wrap up, I always like to leave our listeners with a little something to ponder, right? Something that we didn't get to fully unpack.
Oh, I like that.
So what from those notes, maybe something that we didn't get to fully explore really stood out to you?
You know, they mentioned charitable giving,
Yes,
and I feel like that's something we could dive into more another time.
it's true. It is really interesting how that plays into your overall financial plan.
Yeah, because there are tax benefits, but it's more than that.
Totally.
It's about your values.
It is. It's about like What do you want your money to say about you, even after you're gone?
Exactly. What kind of legacy will you leave behind?
It's not just about the money. It's about making a difference.
Well said.
Well, this was fantastic, as always.
This was fun.
Always a pleasure to pick your brain.
Likewise. Always learning from you two.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring.
And keep protecting what you built.